Everything seems simple when it comes to installing a renewable energy system. After all, you only need an inverter, one or more batteries, and one or more solar panels, maybe 10 solar panels. And that's it. And if you go and look on websites, you see specials where you can buy an inverter, some batteries, and some solar panels, and everything looks hunky-dory. Until you decide that you either want to install or you want to find an installer. And then you find things like you need DV boards, distribution boards. You need fuses. You need surge protectors. You need breakers. You need DC breakers and AC breakers. You need them because they work differently. DC breakers break differently to AC breakers. You can't switch them. You need ferrules to connect wires. You need 2.5mm wire, 1.5mm wire. You need house wire. You need 6mm cable for the PV. You need black cable and red cable for positive and negative PV. And you need different colors for the AC cabling. You need changeover switches. You need AC breakers. If you are running the whole house off your new inverter, that's great. But if you're only running part of the house, you need to create a new distribution board, and you need to take breakers out of the one board and put it into the other board, or you need to put new breakers in and you need to rewire, and that takes a lot of time. A small company could have 30 suppliers. When you get to mounting the PV system, you need the combiner box with its breakers, fuses, and so on. Surge protectors. Wiring. Specific kinds of wiring, special kinds of wiring. You need to understand about MC4 connectors. You need to buy the rails for the roof. You need to buy the anchors for the roof, or the different kinds of systems you need, whether it's a metal roof or a corrugated iron roof or a tiled roof. These roofs require different kinds of equipment to mount the rails. Then you need end clamps and mid clamps, and you need to understand torque so that you know TRRQUE. So you know how to torque the screws to make sure that everything is done correctly. You need to understand how many panels you can put in a string onto an MPPT controller. And you also need to understand open circuit voltage and maximum voltage. Because you need to cater for the maximum voltage. So if the inverter allows 150 to 500 volts, you need to make sure that the string will minimum provide 150 because that's where it's going to start, and maximum 500. And if you think you can take 10 times 50 as an example to get 500, if that was the case, 10 panels times 50 volts, you might be mistaken because on a very cold day, the voltage rises. So you need to take allowance for that. You need to have all different kinds of cables, house cable, PV cable, all different kinds of breakers, all different kinds of fuses. Then you need the fuses that are between the batteries and the inverters. And you need to understand about fuse ratings, because if you have a 100 amp hour battery, you need the 125 or 150 amp fuse. Then you need to find someone that can install all of this. Someone who can program it. Someone who can monitor it and manage it and maintain it. Someone you can call at 11 o'clock at night when you say my system doesn't work, and they can look online and see what's going on and try to help you remotely before coming on site. There's hundreds of parts. There's many suppliers. There's different kinds of inverters for different kinds of applications. There are bidirectional inverters that allow you to export to the grid, and unidirectional inverters that allow you to buy from the grid but not export. A lot of inverters today combine a lot of different functionality. For example, they usually contain 2 MPPT controllers in case you have 2 roofs. If you have 2 roofs, it's more complicated than having 1 roof. But you can flatten the solar curve, lengthen the solar day, by having a northeast grid and a northwest grid, for example. And then you need the right wiring, you need the right grounding, you need the right lugs, you need the right grounding rods. You need to have equipment to test that the grounding system is performing properly. You need to be able to get a COC, Certificate of Compliance. So yes, You can go and buy the inverter and the batteries and the solar panels. But remember, if you buy those things separately from where you buy from, if you bought them from an installer, for example, the installer would make a profit on those things. Now the installer is not making a profit on those things, but the installer's total profit margin is based on the profit on those things and then the profit on all the other equipment, which is small, and then perhaps a small profit on the installation cost. So you have to understand that there's a lot of variables, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of foresight, there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of supply chain issues. Then you try and buy something, you can't find it. So sometimes you have to buy things retail because you can't find them wholesale. In the past few months in South Africa, there's been shortages of things like fuses, DB boards, cabling, even inverters and solar panels at some stage. 2-week lead times for batteries. We need to explain that to clients. So yes, we need to know what's going on. We need to understand that there's a lot more going on than just inverters and batteries and fuses. Feel free to comment, like, and share. Thank you for your interest. Goodbye.